Jackson Radio Show.
Greetings and salutations. You are tuning into the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. Of course, I am Brett Segal, the Disgruntled Millennial, broadcasting to you live from my safe space down here in northern Florida, where I'm always free from your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, and your patriarchy. And we were talking a little bit about divisiveness and Donald Trump and how Donald Trump is he's the great divider. This coming from the people who divides everyone by class, race, sex, gender, sexual orientation, anything that you could possibly think of that makes you different from one another, that makes you, I guess, unique. You have to put that in its own group. So here's what we're going to do. In order to be unique, we're going to get into groups. That makes a lot of sense. Why can't we all just be individuals? You see, eventually this intersectional feminism stuff that has been going around, I mean, they're just going to keep dividing people into smaller and smaller groups until they reach the point where we are right now, which is individuality. Everyone is an individual. All people are different. Just because you are a black trans woman doesn't mean you're going to have the same values. It doesn't make you the same. It doesn't even mean you could even be friends. Maybe you don't have anything in common except for all those other things. How is that meaningful? How does that lead to anything meaningful? A meaningful relationship, a meaningful in-group preference. See, liberals don't mind exclusiveness. They don't mind in-group preferences. They do it all the time. That's what all this identity politics stuff is about. It's about in-group preferences. It's about sticking all the black folks together so that they can have their, whatever they do together, whatever black folks do together while they're only in the company of black folks, they can all do it together in their safe space, in their black-only dorms in college. The leftists don't care about divisiveness, which is why it's so rich hearing all this stuff about, Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. He's divisive. He doesn't bring people together. Build bridges, not walls. Build bridges, not walls, bro. God, virtue signaling is so funny. Listen, I'm okay with in-group preferences. Me personally, I base my in-group preferences on something different than someone's race, class, sex, gender, sexual orientation. I base it on the individual. Like, I've got a lot of liberal friends that I love, that I would die for, that I would take bullets for. Okay? I mean, I know I talk a lot about, liberal this, leftist that. I'm talking about the diehards here. Okay? I'm not talking about just your average Joe who doesn't really follow politics and doesn't really know what's going on and sort of just floating along with the tides. That's one way to go. That's not really my way. But, to me, that's a lot more honorable than showing up to the party as a diehard liberal, someone who actively engages in the culture and really tries to shift things for the worst. Now, what's unfortunate is that those nice people, the nice liberals out there who are, who just have all the best intentions at heart, they get roped into these strange philosophies, this strange rhetoric. Because the people at the top, the Alinsky's, the Marxes, the philosophers, the elites, the college intellectual crowd, they're the ones who are hip to the actual lingo, and they know deep down that it's real. That leftism is really just it's like a mantra philosophy. It's just based on mantras. They can distill, they can't argue, so they just have to say these mantras, label jars, not people, build bridges, not walls, coexist. And a lot of well-meaning, well-intentioned people who are good people get roped into these philosophies, and unfortunately they end up standing by the wrong guy. They end up standing by the guy who actually hurts the people who they want to help. And it's really sad. It's unfortunate. I feel bad for those folks. Because, a lot of those folks, too, they also buy into the whole, conservatives are racist. All conservatives are bad. They buy into all that rhetoric, and they act on it in their lives. I've done it, too. There was a point in my time in my life when I was a militant atheist, and I wouldn't give a Christian the benefit of the doubt. And I feel ashamed for those days. I feel absolutely ashamed because I missed out. I know I missed out on some really good, solid relationships. My conservative friends, I love my conservative friends since I started making them. I never had any before because I bought into the rhetoric, hook, line, and sinker. Why would you want to be friends with someone who is inherently evil? Not someone who disagrees on policy, someone who is inherently evil. Because if you can convince yourself that someone is inherently evil, then you can justify all this separation, right? You can justify all the divisiveness. You can justify the identity politics. So they have to convince you that people are evil. But they're not evil. Some of them are. But dumbing down the language so that you can make these overarching statements like, if you don't believe in Obamacare, then you are a racist, and racists are evil. If you can just dumb it down like that, then you never have a conversation about capitalism. You never have a conversation about policy. You never have the real conversation that needs to be had. And this is why I have converted into a conservative. I was there. I lived as a liberal. I grew with the liberals. I ate with the liberals. I've laid with liberals. And it's only because I came from that perspective that I know for a fact that there really is nothing behind it, that there is really nothing behind the philosophy. And all the talk about togetherness and divisiveness, it's all just a bunch of virtue signaling. It really, really is. Now, the honest thing to do would be to own our in-group preferences, right? I'm okay with in-group preferences. Are you? Why don't we just own our in-group preferences and stop letting ourselves be guilted into having standards? Some people have certain standards. Other people have other standards. My standards happen to be based on the individual. They don't happen to be based on whether you're a man or a woman or trans or Christian or Jew or even Muslim. Has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with who you are as an individual. That is what I care about the most. And those people I want in my group. I want to have a group with them. I want them to be in my inner circle. Therefore, excluding the people on the outside, right? I don't need to have everyone, I don't need to have people in my life that I don't like or that I don't care about, do I? Do I need togetherness with them? I mean, and no matter how desperately the left tries to deny it, they have their in-group preferences, and they're proud of them. I'm so tolerant that the only thing that I don't tolerate is intolerance. Virtue signaling, but that's basically an expression of an in-group preference. Basically saying that my in-group are tolerant people. My out-group, the people who I exclude, are intolerant people. But that's another one of those self-defeating statements. I am only intolerant of intolerance. Okay, well, that makes you intolerant. And who gets to define what tolerance means anyway? I have no problem with the LGBT community, but I have a huge problem with the modern LGBT movement, okay? Because it used to be that they just wanted equal rights and to be tolerated. They just wanted to be out in the open without having to fear for their life and limb. And I appreciate that, and I want that. I'm glad that has happened, that we live in that world. But now it's totally out of control. Now, straight men are being told that they are transphobic because they don't want to date a chick with a penis. Amazing stuff. Just amazing stuff from the left.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.